I was finally free. 1 to 3 years? Fuck that. I'm gone. Archie Bunker, kiss my ass. The whole gang still went to the tunnel every Sunday like church. One Sunday, a few weeks before New Year's 1998, we saw Keith Murray by the bathroom on the second floor. We had just arrived and met Chris in the bathroom to get our bag of weapons. I finished passing out the weapons, and we walked out. And this punk-ass nigga is standing there, looking scared to death when he saw us, because he was by himself and probably heard all the stories of us beating people raggedy. Noyd and Twin were fiending to get him. "What's up?" They were in my ear asking. "We got the drop on him." "Yeah, we got the drop on him, but for what?" I said. Even though he had asked if I was talking about him on that skit, he never said or did anything offensive to me, so I told him to fall back. "Leave him alone," I kept telling him. "Leave the boy alone." We had so many weapons, we would have killed that boy. And it wasn't my style anymore to take advantage of a weak, defenseless person. At that point in my life, I realized that it was wrong to abuse the destructive power we had. You only hurt people when it's necessary, I told myself. My boys were upset with me for not giving them the green light, but I knew it was the right choice. After a few hours of partying, Money No, Godfather, and I left early with some girls. It was close to Christmas, 1997, and snow and ice lined the ground outside. Money No and I walked to the parking lot to get my car, while Godfather walked with the girls to their car. Money No and I were waiting for the light to change, to cross the street, when we saw Keith Murray with 4 of his boys standing 10 feet to our right. "Yeah, what's up now?" one of his boys said to him. "Let's see what's up now." "Pass me your gun," Money No said. I had a big 9mm on my hip all night. "Nah, chill," I said. I wanted to fire the shots. "What's up with all that shit you was talking on your album?" Keith Murray walked up and asked after his boys pumped him up with gas. "Are you serious?" I looked at him and asked. "How am I gonna shoot this dude and get away with it?" I was thinking. "All right, I'm gonna take him down the dark shadows toward 10th Avenue. One of Keith Murray's boys and Money No started beefing about who could fight better. I suggested that we take it across the street, out of sight, so the cops wouldn't break us up. They reluctantly agreed. As we crossed the street, Money No kept asking for the gun, but I refused. I couldn't wait to get in the shadows of the next block and see the look on their faces when I started squeezing bullets at them. Now, should I shoot to kill, shoot to wound, or shoot to scare them? I decided to just shoot Keith Murray and wound him. A police squad car was coming up on my left when we got to the double yellow lines in the middle of 11th Avenue. Keith Murray jumped in front of me like he changed his mind about stepping into the shadows across the street. I could see him ready to swing. "The cops are right there," I warned him. "Chill until they pass." But he decided to punch me in the mouth in front of the cops. How corny is that? My first thought was, this nigga punches like a girl. My second was, get distance between these cops immediately before backup arrives and we all get frisked. The police put on the sirens and lights. I ran to get rid of the gun behind the van, tossing it in the snow, covering it with more snow. Then I looked up. Money No knocked out Keith Murray's man. He hit the ground and slid on some ice underneath the cop car. As I was walking back toward them, Keith Murray was talking to the cops, pointing at us, saying that we started it. The police was cool. They simply said, "You guys go that way, and you guys walk the other way." Them niggas don't even understand how lucky they are. God was truly on their side. I guess God was on my side too, because I might have gotten locked up. Keith Murray must have felt death down that dark street. When he saw that squad car coming, it must have been like Jesus Christ coming to save him. New Year's Eve 1998 fell on a Sunday, and the tunnel was on fire as usual. Godfather and I stole 2 hoes from their pimp, Diamond and Strawberry, Puerto Rican dimes from Albany. They told us homie was lame, pimping them in the club every Sunday, and they wanted to work Queensbridge. We headed out the club with them. I realized that I left my car keys with Gotti, gave my gun to Godfather, and told him I'll be right back. Back inside the tunnel, I walked all over trying to find Gotti. I noticed dudes wearing Death Squid hats, Keith Murray's crew. I saw 2 hats, 4, and more. Minutes later, with the dudes following, I bumped into Karate Joe, Bill Cosby, Nitty, Twin, Gotti, and a bunch of the 12th Street crew. I told Gotti to give me my keys. These dudes is following me, I told Karate Joe. He didn't even wait for me to tell him who. Karate Joe punched the face off the poor dude behind me, who wasn't even down with the Death Squid. The 12th Street crew started fighting everybody behind me. Twin grabbed me out the way, holding me behind him, slicing and dicing faces with a razor. I asked him to give me one. Twin just kept cutting, not even hearing me. We chased the Death Squid pussies through the club. I ran outside and told Godfather to give me my gun, thinking that whatever was left of the Death Squid would come running out, but they never came. 10 minutes later, the crew strolled out laughing. "Where's the Death Squadron?" I asked. "Them niggas in there bleeding," Joe said. "They probably need an ambulance." Godfather, the girls, and I walked to the parking lot to my new black Lexus GS 300, which I bought with some of my feature money. We drove the hoes to a cheap motel next to the Holland Tunnel, where their pimp kept them, to get their clothes from their room. They ran out the hotel with 2 stuffed garbage bags. We took them to QB and started pimping them the next morning. Diamond and Strawberry were 2 good-looking Puerto Rican broads with fat asses and nice bodies. We took them to Chang's, the Chinese food spot on 40th Avenue. Mr. Chang and his employees were our first customers, in the car behind the restaurant. Then we walked around the hood with them and made a few $1,000s. It gave me a new respect for pimps. Pimping ain't easy. It's a full-time job, and I ain't got time for it. My run as a pimp was over within a week. Godfather kept Diamond and Strawberry for another month and got tired of it too, so he left them somewhere in the city. I told Kiki what we were doing, but she probably didn't even believe me. A spiritual war was going on within me. All the things I was learning about life and health had me wanting to stop doing the drugs and living the grimy way I was living. But at the same time, all the stress and pain, drama and criminals around me made me not care about being peaceful and cleaning up my act. My coke habit and drinking were affecting my sickle cell. All the partying was finally starting to catch up. Not long after my little pimping episode, an OG in Queensbridge went to cop a bag of coke for me in the projects late one night. This was our regular routine, because I didn't want people to see it was Prodigy buying from them. Never sent a broke cokehead to buy coke. The OG came back and gave me a bag of something that wasn't coke, or coke mixed with something that smelled and tasted like plastic. Now, I don't know if the dealer gave him a bad bag or if he dipped in my bag and replaced what he took with some bullshit. Later that night, my head hurt and my sinuses swelled up above my eyes. My sickle cell started acting up and I had to go to the hospital. They told me I might have spinal meningitis and stuck a needle in my spine to remove some fluid. I didn't have meningitis. I knew damn well it was from the coke. My head looked like E.T., and I felt ugly and embarrassed when Kiki came to see me. The doctors asked Kiki and Uncle Lenny to leave the room for a moment. They told me that they found cocaine, PCP, and marijuana in my blood. When Kiki and Lenny came back, I admitted that I was using cocaine and angel dust. Kiki was mad as hell, and when I explained how long I'd been using, she couldn't believe it. After I healed, Kiki told me when she saw my face and head swollen like that and found out about my drug habit, she wanted to leave me. That scared me into wanting to change my life. Sickle cell pain had brought me close to death many times, but the thought of losing Kiki was worse. It was time to put all the righteous information I was learning about into serious practice. It took a few more bangs on my hard head for me to finally get my shit together. But from that night on, I never used cocaine again. Twin and I waited for an hour in the freezing cold to get inside the tunnel one night, about a week after my hospital stay. Chris Lighty wasn't at the door, and the bouncers were hating on us, making us wait outside forever. The cold triggered my sickle cell. By the time I got inside, I was in super pain, with no pain medicine. I thought of my own remedy. I drank Hennessy until I was numb. The next day, I went to the hospital and had to stay for a week. My man Shamik from Left Rack came to visit me and brought fish, biscuits, and shrimp from Red Lobster next to Left Rack City. He made surprise visits with Red Lobster a lot when I was in the hospital. We talked about the latest jewelry, fashion, and rap drama. Shamik was a cool dude. He had come up since the nickel and dime days, became real big time in the drug game. A few days after I came home from the hospital, Shamik invited me to Gordon's strip club on Hillside Avenue in Jamaica, Queens. He was meeting his homeboy E Moneybags and Nas, so I went. Shamik was selling drugs for E Moneybags, and they were talking in code language about their dealings, while Nas and I spoke about the Nation of Islam's 120 lessons in the rap game. We drank for a few hours, and then we left. My niggas and I were never into giving out money to strippers or getting lap dancers. I always looked at dudes who did that like they were herbs, suckers, or cornballs. Tricks is the pimp terminology for those types. While I was driving Shamik back to Left Rack, I asked him to give me the 120 lessons. Sha was what we call God Body from the 5% Nation, now known as the Nation of Gods and Earths. Males are called God Body and women are Earth. They believe that the black man is God and that we shouldn't be praying or waiting for Jesus to save us. We should be creating our own destiny. And if we want life to be better, then we must make it that way by doing positive things. They have some very interesting concepts. And I didn't want to join them. I just wanted to acquire their knowledge. Sha had been given his God Body name, Shamik Allah, when we were little kids in Lakeview. Growing up, there were a lot of gods in Hempstead and Lakeview, Long Island. And ever since I started reading Dr. York's books, I wanted to study the 120 lessons and learn knowledge of self. Dr. York teaches that we should know the origin of all things, and I wanted to learn their origin. Sha ran up to his apartment and came back with an unbound booklet of lessons. People would Xerox loose copies and pass them around. Some people even hand-wrote the lessons with a pen and pad. I went home and didn't stop reading until I was finished. Like I said, I wasn't planning on becoming a follower anyway. I'm just an addict for information, especially the facts. I started realizing that all religions were created to control the masses on this planet. They control the people through fear of God and the devil, heaven and hell, dick in my nuts. I'm not into race hating, and I don't rely on religion for my spiritual health. I've got my own relationship with the Creator. The only thing I believe in are facts. And the fact is that when we were in Africa living in peace with the universe, we didn't have Bibles or corrupt corporations. We were spiritual people with our own way of life. We didn't need for anything because it was all there for us naturally in infinite abundance. Africa is the cradle of all humanity and civilization. We were advanced in technology, agriculture, architecture, medical procedures, math, science, astronomy, astrology, and health practices, long before the Greeks and Romans. Don't believe the lie when they say Caucasians came to Africa and found black people living in destitution as unruly, cannibalistic bush babies, and they had to save us from our evil, savage ways, clean us up, civilize us, and transform us into wholesome, upstanding Christians. This is all propaganda created by the Caucasian pirates to conceal their true agenda of the largest land, natural resources, knowledge, and population heist in history, not to mention the largest mass genocide. We thrived independently for millions of years before they invaded our lives with their wickedness and lifestyle of the beast. When we were enslaved and shipped to America, the Europeans forced us to follow fairy tale religions so that they can control our minds. They forced their banking system on us to control our lives with money. If we don't agree with their system and refuse to believe in their religions, then we get killed, sent to jail, or locked in a mental institution. I could write an entire book on that subject alone, and I will.